We use this in Jet Moto? Oh yeah. That's true. We reused a lot of shit, from weapon to effects, levels. Man. It was in Jet Moto, absolutely. Hypnotherapy. You want my thoughts on hypnotherapy? I'll give them to you in a minute. Yeah, Swamp Level, it was in Twisted Metal 2, that's right. That's right. It was just, you know, it was such a different time. It was the same teams. There was a lot of shared people in between teams. But yeah, this level was originally written for Twisted Metal 2. But yeah, we shared whatever. It was awesome. It was LA for Twisted Metal, but the Swamp Level was from Jet Moto. I don't fucking remember. It's been a long time, you know. Here it comes, baby. Oh, baby. That is the sound of the brilliant Diet Coke popping. Hello, everybody. You old knuckleheads. Hang on. Let me let's mosey on down here. Welcome back to Gabbin' Games. I've missed you, damn delinquents. It's been a couple of weeks as I've been working on various aspects of the show, but it's good to be back. It is nice to see everybody. Welcome. CD Supreme, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that very, very much. Dropping a super chat sticker there. He says nothing, but he dropped super chat. I appreciate it. Eric was asking me what do I think about hypnotherapy before we get to the news and the discussion of the games and whatnot. You know, look, man, I went to see a hypnotherapist. Well, I went to see a past life regression therapist. Not because I was like feeling ill or anything, but it was a date. I took a date there, and she heard it on the radio in LA. It was like on K-Rock or something, and we're like, "Fuck it, I'll make an appointment." We went. We got past life regression therapy. The real tricky thing about all that stuff, whether you're talking about, you know, religious speaking in tongues, or you're talking about hypnotherapy, whether it's like a joke when you go to a magician in Vegas, or you go to you know, whatever, like we did, past life, it's very hard to tell between you're just sort of stream of conscious expressing yourself and actually something coming through. So what they told me, what I told them was the guy who was hypnotizing me, he was like, I think I've told the story real quick, but I'll tell it real quick again. He's asking me questions while I'm under hypnosis, and I'm not answering him at all. And when I came out of it, he says, "It's weird, you know, you didn't say anything." I said, "I didn't say anything because in my mind, I was a baby in the 1920s in Chicago, and all I could do was sort of wave. I was sitting in a high chair." Now, the interesting part about this, which is why it's all bullshit, I don't know about hypnotherapy, but certainly past life regression therapy, is it's like, okay, well, my dad was born in 1928. So if I was a baby in Chicago in the 20s, that would mean somehow that I was in two places at once, or at least partially in two places at once. Because part of what would be me was in my dad's sperm, which hadn't been created yet, but my mom's eggs had been created. She was born as a baby with the egg that would be fertilized and become me. So I don't think it's accurate, but I do think Eric says, I mean, with hypnotherapy to help with phobias, fears, there is absolutely value to going to a reputable therapist who specializes in utilizing tools that get you into a different mental state to allow you to process trauma. I think they call that EMD or something. But no, there is truth to it. Absolutely. But I don't think if you're going to somebody like on the boardwalk and he's like, let me hypnotize, if you let me hypnotize away your fears of snakes, I don't think that's any value. No. All right, fellas, welcome to the show. Welcome to Gabbin' Games. I want to give you an update on what's happening during the week to begin with, and then we will jump right into what I like to call the news. This is my word. Starting today, every Gabbin' Games show will be having a members-only after show. The after show will be, at least for today, it might move around, but it'll be over on the Discord in the Diet Soda Soldier room. So if you are a mod or a Diet Soda Soldier or above, you may join us. Today's after show will be about 35 minutes. We'll be watching the Nintendo Indie special that launched today and a handful of trailers, including the new Resident Evil animated movie. Just dropped a 6-minute trailer. It won't always be watching things. Like on Friday, we'll probably just talk games. But today, we got some things we want to catch up on. That is happening today after this show, about 5 minutes after we go off the air with this show. Crash Team Rumble goes live tomorrow. As if you own the game, if you buy the $29.99 version of the game, and I have done that, if you've pre-ordered it, you get yourself access to the beta that runs until the 24th of April. And so, by the way, if you're into it and you buy it, I will be streaming that and playing with Discord members, Diet Soda Soldiers, in that room and up in the Diet Soda room. There's a Calypso rooms live stream tomorrow. We have the Diablo in-game developer conference tomorrow, and we also have Street Fighter 6 has a new final drop before the summer release of the game. That will be for Cult Calypso members only and above tomorrow in the Discord. Finally, a couple more things. We've got a busy week. We're gonna get to the news. We've got a busy week. Saturday, Pot and Popcorn is happening at 3 o'clock California time. If you're curious where the vote stands right now, we're doing a double feature. We will be showing, looks like Cocaine Bear for sure. And then we have the second movie, which I haven't picked yet, but Cult Calypso members and above are voting. And right now, we currently have 71% saying they want to watch the Cocaine Bear. So I'm down with that. Okay, final thing. Sunday at 12:30 is game day for Gabbin' Games, because Call of Duty this week, we'll talk about it in a second, is free this weekend. It's a free play weekend. We'll get to that a little bit later, but that's happening for members only. You can watch it, but members only can play at any level. 12:30 Sunday. And then next week, of course, I want to show you this. We have the director of the Resident Evil documentary about George Romero writing the script and directing the original Resident Evil movie, and then he got fired. It's going to be a great conversation. You should see some of the shit this guy, I mean, they literally got a mansion. They got people dressed up as all the characters. I mean, it's a very expensive, Capcom has sanctioned it. I am currently reading, I'll put a link right now in the chat if you're curious. I am currently reading the script that George Romero wrote. It's right here. You can see it on your screen. It's really fucking good. It's really fucking good so far. So if you're curious and you want to read the script before next week when he comes on to talk, this is the script. George Romero, who, if you don't know, look him up. IMDb the motherfucker. He is one of the godfathers of horror. He really created the zombie genre as we know it today. Night of the Living. What was the goddamn classic? Night of the Living Dead. But he made a number in that franchise. So he has died, sadly, of course, but we will be talking all about Resident Evil and how it relates to films and things like that. Okay. But give it a look, give it a read. You have to be a member to get access to the Discord. No, if you want to get on the Discord, go ahead. It's the link is on this video right below. But if you want to get into those rooms where we're doing like certain game nights or movie nights or whatever, then yeah, you have to be a member of either the Diet Soda Soldiers or Cult Calypso or God of War or a mod. Okay. Anyway, I just want to give you a heads up. What's going on? Oh, I agree, Wallace Shawn. He says Snyder's version of Day of the Dead was really good. It was really good. It was fucking really good. You're absolutely right. 100%. Great film. Okay. Listen to this. Listen to this. A tweet goes out today. I mean, we've known that MetaQuest and Meta and whatever Zuckerberg's calling the company this week, we've known they've been in some trouble. We've known VR has not delivered to them to the degree. We actually talked about yesterday on one of the shows about how new numbers have come out, which says now they've gotten some very specific numbers. This was Wall Street Journal reporting that only 25% of people are using, out of the 20 million Oculus Quests they've sold, only 25% are still using it as of today. That's a massive fucking plunge in monthly active users. Well, you may or may not know this. The guys who made Daxter, which was a classic, I don't remember if it was a PSP or PS Vita, I think it was PSP, title, and then obviously The Order, insanely talented group of people over at Ready at Dawn. They got acquired by Meta. They did this game called Echo, which was like a VR zero-G Enders game multiplayer thing that I haven't played. A lot of people say it's great. That's already been shut down. Well, today they've been hit with massive layoffs. A third of the company has been pushed aside in these layoffs, which is very, very sad because these are not layoffs where it's like, let's get rid of some of the dead weight. Ready at Dawn's one of them. I mean, I can't imagine Sony doesn't. I mean, there must have been a reason Sony didn't make an offer. I don't fucking know. I know the guys who run it. They're really smart, really good people. But for whatever reason, the Ready at Dawn guys and Meta decided to get into bed together. And, you know, it sucks because one of the designers, the news broke from Colin, I don't know this guy, he's a designer, Colin McInnery of the Connecticut McInnerys. And he said, you know, that he says, this is exactly his quote. He said, my choice words are that I cannot disparage Meta, which clearly he wants to, but he can't because of his severance and leaving and all that. So let me just say, he continues, that Ready at Dawn was a wonderful studio full of incredible people. I genuinely learned a ton, including from one coworker in particular who I will be eternally grateful towards. And then he went on to say, also, for anyone who followed me looking for VR stuff, this is in his tweet, I am leaving the VR industry behind. I will not be doing VR development ever again if I can help it. I want to make dumb indie games for the rest of my natural born life, and I will fight every day to do that. So, I mean, you know, VR is not the hill to fight on, and certainly not the hill to die on. Morgan says VR is a bad thing to invest in. Sony should have looked into a new handheld. I don't think so. I think investing in it when they did make sense. I think investing in the second one didn't make a lot of sense based on what we know, and I'm sure there's stuff that we don't have data on. I think the days of dedicated handhelds are over. I think that's no offense, I think that's a ridiculous thing to pursue. I think if you want to pursue, as I've said before, a phone that has gamer controllers that's also a smartphone, or if you want to pursue a Switch-like solution for the PS6, I think that makes a lot of sense. But the idea of somebody walking around, I mean, this generation barely thinks about consoles, the younger kids, Gen Z. The idea that they're now going to, you know, walk around with a phone and a handheld, it just doesn't it just doesn't, and it doesn't work anymore. And Sebastian's right. He says, especially when you have Xbox cloud gaming, if you live in a good area where you can actually take advantage of that, which I do, and it's wonderful. So, okay, so that's happening though. I wish all those guys well. These guys are some of the most talented developers in the business. I think, I guess they're still with Meta. I mean, I don't, you know, one could say, oh, at least maybe now they can go and make a console game or something big. But I don't know. I guess because they're still, it's not like they shut down all of Ready at Dawn. I guess they're still making something for them. So I don't fucking know. Morgan says you could do a legit handheld and streaming hybrid. Yeah, you could. But I guess the thing is with Sony, at least, you know, look, I think they should make a phone, but that's beside the point. Let's assume we go down Morgan's train of thought and we actually do make Sony. Sony does make a handheld dedicated. Sony has consistently dropped the ball whenever they've created peripherals in having the same level of first-party quality development for that peripheral. They'll jump on at the beginning to kind of make it a thing, and then they'll leave it all to second and third party. I think that's always going to hurt Sony. If Sony actually said, let's make a dedicated handheld, and part of that desire was, and we're going to have 8 teams all over the world or 10 teams all over the world that are totally focused on what makes a great handheld game, I think that's fantastic. But they didn't do that for the Vita, for the PSP, for PSVR. They didn't do that for the Move. No, the PSP was not a huge success, Mecca. I mean, it probably did okay, but compared to what they expected, I remember. You can actually go back, Mecca. There's a tweet I put out. I remember this. I was at Sony Santa Monica. I was still working at Sony, and I had access. I don't know what came out first, but I had the 3DS, or somebody in the office had the DS. Sorry, not the 3DS. It was the dual screen, the first one with 2 screens. And somebody had brought the PSP over from Japan, and we were playing, I think it was one of the racing games. Maybe it was Ridge Racer. I don't fucking know what they shipped with. And I remember tweeting that this PSP is going to fucking eat the lunch of these motherfuckers at Nintendo, because this thing is insane. And it was incredibly impressive for its time. But the issue really is that Sony didn't really understand that most people don't want to walk around and play full featured console games exclusively on a handheld. And Nintendo had separate teams for their handheld division that understood philosophically the psychology is different when you're making games for handheld and when you're playing handheld. And in that, they absolutely dominated that market. Aunt Tony Pony says PSP was successful. I guess it depends on how you define successful. It wasn't successful like the DS was. It may have been, kind of sort of profitable, but it wasn't like the DS in terms of you saw it everywhere. Okay. Hello, Downfall Media. Downfall Media, by the way, I got to let you guys know. We're going to get to some more news in just 2 seconds, but I got to let you know, I'm fascinated by what he's doing. So Downfall Media is a member. He's been a member, a longtime friend of the show. He has just started a new website, and now I'm fascinated by it because it's one of these websites about, the dying art. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Blake. The dying art of masculinity, the dying expression of masculinity in America. And I think that's such a weird, interesting, fascinating, important, misconstrued, miscommunicated topic that I am very interested to see how he does and how he deals with that topic over there. But I gotta have him on for an interview down the road if he's willing, because I want to talk to him about this. I don't agree with him with a lot of his stuff, what he's talking about, but I find it quite fascinating. Oh, is my mic peaking? Yeah, I don't know. Help me out with that, Juan. Juan says, Jaffe, I think your mic is peaking. Does that mean my gain is too high? In the meantime, while I'm waiting to get back on the mic information, X-Rated Skater says, Jaffe, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, is the music license the reason Sony remastered 2012 to port it? Wait, what? Is the music license the reason Sony has maybe you're saying has not remastered Twisted Metal 2012 or ported it to the PS5 store? Would love to revisit it. I don't think so, no. I think it's probably because, it was written on PS3. It really lives and dies by being an internet game. The net code, once you're in the game, is blazingly solid and fast, but the whole handshaking between Sony servers, which probably the ones that the game was written to, and the servers or the code that we wrote in Utah, that probably doesn't exist anymore. So that's probably where the lion's share of the work would be. I don't think Warhawk is also on PS5 to play today, right? You still can't play Warhawk. I think it's probably a similar reason. The music licensing in Twisted Metal is quite easy to get rid of. You just go through and you turn off the songs that we don't have the rights to, and you're off to the races. Let me see what Juan is saying, because I don't want to be blowing out your ears. Juan says just a little bit. All right, let me turn the gain down. You guys tell me. I'm doing my best to learn all about this sound shit, but I'm really kind of I brought it down. You guys let me know. Okay. Jaffe, Dead Island 2 co-op with members. Is that coming up? Well, Dead Island 2, I will be buying the day it comes out. I'm hoping Thursday night you can play it. I do want to play co-op with members. So any members that have it, when I start streaming it, if you have it, jump in with me if you're a member. Absolutely. And if you're at the, it's any tier, but the higher tiers get priority seating. But I'm very excited for that game. It's currently sitting, I think, at a 75 with almost 70 reviews. We talked about it on yesterday's show, but my understanding is it's very what you see is what you get. But if you like what you see, you're going to have a lot of fun. So I'm fucking in, man. I'm fucking in. A cab wants to know if I'm going to buy Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I am, but I want to finish the first one first, and I have not done that. But thanks very much, X-Rated Skater, for that super chat. I appreciate it, buddy. Okay. Also, this leaked yesterday. We knew that Bungie's new game is called Matter, or at least that's the working title. But now, yesterday, a supposedly reliable leaker has put this out. Hello, New York Samurai. Good to see you, buddy. They put this out, letting us know that the title, and apparently this guy's very reputable dude when it comes to his Bungie leaks. The title's for PS5. He's not saying it's exclusive, but it's interesting. The real big news is the game is from a third-person perspective, according to the job listing. It's being done on the Bungie engine. So, I mean, we don't know much more about it. We have seen this picture, which, again, kind of looks very Starfield, very Destiny. It'd kind of be nice to see Bungie get away from the sci-fi stuff. As for it being single-player, I could not tell you. I don't have any idea what it is. You're saying this is Destiny concept art? Okay, good. Well, then that's even better. So Aunt Tony Pony says this picture is Destiny concept art. Great. That's fantastic. That means we don't even have a fucking clue what the genre is in terms of thematic. So all we know is this is their next big project. It's called Matter, and it's going to be a third-person game. We don't really know what else is happening. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Very generous, very kind, very courteous. Thank you, buddy. Very nice of you. Spasbo, Dead Island comes out Friday. I'm not sure what you guys in the chat are saying where you're saying it's not going to happen ever. What's not going to happen ever? You don't think this game? Jake Z says that's never happening. What is never happening? Oh, me finishing Star Wars. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, you may be right. I'm literally trying. We're going to talk about completion rates in a minute as it relates to Resident Evil, but I'm literally trying to get so many games finished before I start new ones. But it's hard, man. It's fucking hard, man. Jaffe, am I stupid or have you not been streaming as regularly as before, says Dilly D? Well, I can't answer the first question. That's really up to you and your Jesus. But what I will tell you, Dilly D, is the last couple of weeks I've been doing a lot of adjusting of the business model of the stream and technical aspects of the stream and whatnot. So I'm back to normal schedule now. But yes, the last 2 weeks have been very, I haven't been here as much for sure. Okay. Hey, Jaffe, I'm friends with close friends of Mick Garris. I know Mick Garris. I like Mick Garris, who directed. I know who he is. He's a great director. If you ever want him on the show, I can arrange it. I would love to have Mick Garris on the show. You goddamn right. Hit me up in the DM on Twitter. I would love to work with that with you. Thank you, buddy. Sebastian, you asked a question. Do me a favor, copy and paste it, put it back on. Water Princess, is that a new mic? It's not a new mic, it's a new boom. I've been avoiding getting one of these booms because I thought they looked kind of pretentious, but after doing an interview with the writer of the Vince McMahon biography the other day, the sound was so bad and it was picking up all the desk noise and shit, and I was just like, okay, I gotta fucking just do it. I just gotta fucking do it. So Downfall Media says, member for 22 months, by the way. Thank you, sir. He says, recapturing the male spirit in the U.S. of America. Jaff and I will battle to the death. Not really. Videos will be released weekly. Hey, let's talk about it. I'm with you. I want to talk about it. It's a fascinating subject. Okay. Listen to this. Modern Warfare. I got to tell you guys something. All right, Sebastian, I'll get to that in just a second. Modern Warfare 2 is excellent. The campaign after a couple of dud levels is excellent. The multiplayer is excellent. Now, I know that there are some people that are, somebody was asking me about the exodus from Call of Duty, the hardcore Call of Duty players. From what I understand it, a lot of them are like, oh, we don't like this. I don't know. I haven't enjoyed Call of Duty multiplayer in ages, but I'm loving the fuck out of this. I've bought 2 battle passes out of 3. Season 3 just dropped. Okay. Season 3 is really good. There's a couple of great new levels. One in particular is this just insanely beautifully detailed lighthouse level that is a fucking blast. There's a new mode, which is the gun mode. This weekend, you know, DMZ's already free. And you know, the Battle Royale mode, which is, I forget what they call it, is already free. But this weekend until, I guess, Sunday, in fact, it's already going on now. It's starting now. It's free. Modern Warfare 2 has a bunch of free shit, including some of the great stuff from Season 3. They've got what's called Palaio's Lighthouse. That is in there. The Himmelmat Expo is a great new level. That's like a Swedish convention center that's been taken over by terrorists. They don't include the museum. That's a great level. Gun game is in there. Anyway, this is free until I don't know when it goes away, but it probably goes away Sunday night, Monday morning. But point being is, if you want to play, now's the time. It won't cost you a lick of money. And I don't know if you even need PS Plus since it's free, but you might. I don't know about that. You have to check into that. But the point is, Sunday, 12:30 Pacific time, all members that are interested will be doing a Call of Duty game day, 12:30 on Sunday, California time, and just playing a bunch of multiplayer Call of Duty on the stream. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys there and gals there. Sebastian says, all I asked was everything you know about Xbox this year. Do you think this is the year Xbox strikes back? I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean anything. I think that I think Xbox, I love my Xbox. I love Game Pass. Game Pass has an incredibly exciting 4 weeks coming up. We get to finally play Redfall. We get to play, I didn't realize it was this close, the Final Case of Benedict Fox, which I played the demo for, and it was excellent, which is like a Metroidvania meets PC adventure game. It's very different, very cool, very good. There's like 6 day one drops this year, this month for Xbox Game Pass. And then obviously this is probably the year that the deal to acquire Activision is complete, which looks like it's probably going to go through. So, you know, Xbox is doing fine. And it's a wonderful system. I love it, but it's clearly at the moment not stepping on Sony's toes in a meaningful way. Although if you look at what they're doing with their Game Plus, their PS Plus service has been stepping up. And that's probably because they do know that Game Pass sooner than later is going to be a serious problem. Yesterday, by the way, they launched the 2-hour trial of Disney's Speedstorm. I have some issues with that game, but if you have PS Plus, I think it's PS Plus Premium. I don't know which tier has it. Play that goddamn game. It's going to go free to play, so I did not buy the Founders Packs. It'll be free to play hopefully soon. But right now, after your 2-hour trial runs out, you can't play it unless you buy the Founders Pack, and I ain't going to do that. But boy, what a blast of a game. It is racing on the fucking edge. If Mario Kart is kind of a little bit more measured, it's not that it's slow, but it's, you know, this feels like crack racing. It is just fucking batshit insane. It's good. It's fucking really, really good. So I highly recommend it. If you have PS Plus, go do the trial. Okay. No, Drawn to Death is no longer playable. No. Okay. Like Burnout's faster than Burnout. The best comparison I saw to the Disney, and again, yes, Mickey Mouse and Donald and Goofy are in it, but there are also, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean characters and Disney theme park characters and Pixar characters. I'm hoping that they add Star Wars and you know, the Marvel characters. But yes, that's exactly right. Dusty93 says, is it like Sonic All-Star Racing? Yes, the comparison that I saw Video Games Chronicle give it, they gave it 4 out of 5 stars, was they said that it was closest to Sonic All-Stars Transformed, which if you haven't played it, that's a fucking great racing game. It feels a little faster than that, but it's great. And I think that's a pretty good descriptor. Purple Zuka, hey Jaffe, been tuning in since last summer. Thank you, buddy. Love your content. Thank you, sir. Thoughts on Gamefly? Why it's still been chugging, even though many think it's dead? Do you think it's still worth subbing? Well, yeah. I mean, I sub to it. I don't anymore. But when I was really adding game streaming to my content, I was like, I don't finish games and I like to variety stream. And so I got the deal with Gamefly that was 2 games at a time. And, as long as you don't have to have the brand new game, because a lot of times you got to wait a little bit on those. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a great subscription service. I don't think anything out there right now touches it in terms of what it offers. Because you could get Dead Island 2 for a monthly sub if you get it sooner than later. I mean, you'll get it sooner than later, but I mean, you could be one of those people in the first month you're playing it and it only costs you $10 or whatever it is you're paying. So I'm a fan. I definitely like it. I wouldn't trade Game Pass for it, but I like it. Hang on. No, Fewbie, Call of Duty is free now or just DMZ? Call of Duty, the normal Modern Warfare multiplayer, a bunch of maps and modes are free until I think Sunday or Monday now. DMZ is always free, and their Battle Royale mode, which is like Warzone or something, that's always free as well. But this is the other one though. This is the actual core game. Okay. All right, let's move on, shall we? Advance Wars is finally coming out this Friday. It's coming out the same day as Dead Island 2. I'll probably be getting it eventually. It's been delayed on and off, but I'm excited for it. I like the originals. The reviews are really good. It looks fun and cartoony. It's currently sitting at an 82. Okay, an 82. Let me tell you what some of the thoughts are on this game. Most people love it. The lowest review is a 60, but that's very rare. But what they're saying makes sense. Reboot Camp rescues Advance Wars' brilliant gameplay formula from a 15-year hiatus, but does so without ever displaying any amount of ambition. Its lackluster online multiplayer offering is emblematic of a re-release that shines on purely through the ingenuity of the original gameplay loop, which is, I mean, if that's what gave it a 60, I'm fine with it, because I haven't had a game like Advance Wars in a very long time. And so if it's just like, well, it's kind of the game you remember, but it's got a coat of paint, cool. The review that I thought was the most fascinating, and I know a lot of people are going to poo-poo this and they're going to make fun of this, but I and I'm not saying it's going to prevent me from playing it, but this is an interesting review. Eurogamer says it's great. They love it. All the stuff you hear, it looks good. It plays good. It's got quality of life improvements. But I'm just going to read you. I'm going to read you directly from the Christian Donlin, who is the reviewer on this at Eurogamer. He says, "I need to be honest and awkward and embarrassing for a moment here at the end. Apologies as I enter my mid-40s, even before I get to the daily newspaper front pages. As much as I love the ingenuity and craft of the series, I have to admit I find the premise behind Advance Wars a little trickier to navigate now. Trickier than I did back when I was 20 and discovering this series for the first time. And I know there's lots of games about war, lots of tactical games about war, lots of games that reduce war to things on a map and control points and unit icons where cities are captured are just images of a tower, and where you take a unit across a river, you don't need to think about what it would actually be like. I know that this is a game that is at least partially made for kids, and it's a beautifully and carefully conceived game at that. Even so, I found a slightly surreal experience at times playing this title, and it didn't used to feel like this. When I fucked up a mission and have to grind out a painful victory on Switch, I can't help but thinking about what I'm actually doing in the game, what the rock, paper, scissors units are meant to represent. It's ridiculous, he says. I don't feel remotely conflicted about chess. I don't feel conflicted about playing Civ, or rather, I'm happy to feel conflicted because I know the game wants me to feel conflicted. I wouldn't put any of these thoughts and caveats into a piece I was writing about the game Into the Breach. If this doesn't make sense to you, I'll readily admit it doesn't make sense to me. But I'll also admit I've started to feel slightly conflicted when I play the new Advance Wars. And I know you guys can laugh about it. You guys can laugh about it, but I mean, you know, what's funny about gamers is on one hand they will say games are art and they are the greatest storytelling medium in the planet, and on and on and on and on. And then when a reviewer actually takes those things seriously and says, you know, this is how this game made me feel, instead of going, that's pretty cool that a game can elicit that kind of emotional and conflicted response in someone. Instead of that, the gamers like Uncle Fuzznuts is like, it's cartoon people shooting at each other. Give me a break. Where's the other one? Somebody said, where did it go? Where did it go? It was a great comment, but I can't find it. I am a fighting game fan. Jaffe found his match when it comes to reaching. This reviewer needs to have his head checked, blah, blah, on and on and on and on. And I'm just gonna say, guys, you can't have it both ways. He's a 45-year-old man. He's expressing his take on the game. And Sebastian, I'm almost done. I don't know. No, stop. Just shut up about it. Shut up about it. Nobody cares. We don't want to hear about your history. We don't want to hear about your posting. You're here. You're welcome. Communicate about what we're talking about. I don't want to get a chat full of you going over old grievances, please. Thank you. And it does. Lutron says this goes back to why Nintendo delayed the game. Right. It was originally supposed to come out, and it was, you know, unintentionally coming. Can you imagine if it was intentional? It was unintentionally coming out the day that Russia invaded Ukraine, and they said, okay, well, let's back out. Let's put it out sometime later. Morgan says, I don't think it's bad what the guy said. Y'all get butthurt when anybody has something to say that's philosophical, right? Why can't we just enjoy that there are people now? And this guy's probably older than a lot of you guys. He's 45. You know, he sees the real world now, and he's saying, you know, this affects me. He's also saying it's great. He's not saying don't play it. He's not saying don't buy it. He's just saying, hey, as a caveat, this is something going on in the game that I wanted to share with you guys as somebody who's reviewing it. What's the problem? Same thing when, but anyway, I thought this was interesting, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Okay. I love wargaming. I hate war, says Blackjack. I don't see the correlation. He's not saying one is good, one is bad. He's just saying that when he played this game, he knows there's chess. He knows chess is representational war. He knows Civ is. He plays lots of war games. He doesn't have a problem with them. He doesn't have a problem with this. He's just saying now that this is front page news and we are watching buildings get blown up in Ukraine and civilians getting killed, and some of that is touched on in this game, not in a deep, serious way. He's just sharing that, hey, this game made me feel a little ambivalent. Why don't we celebrate that? That's cool to me. That's not something to mock. You can't have it both ways. I mean, you can. All right, let's move on. Listen to this. Listen to this. If you go over to LinkedIn, there's a Warner Brothers senior global brand manager. And part of his, hey, here's what I did. My resume was, here's the quote. This was found by somebody on Twitter. Achieved 256% to plan sell-through at launch. Talking about Hogwarts Legacy. He was the brand manager. exceeded 12 million units in sales in the first 2 weeks, earning $850 million plus. 2 weeks, it almost earned $1 billion. Secured additional 1.8 billion impressions, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? They sold more than 250% what they thought they were going to sell. And it's not sell in, it's sell through. Sell through is the number you care about. Sell through means somebody walked into a store or walked onto a digital storefront and bought the game. Sell in is what they sent to Best Buy, GameStop, Amazon, whatever, and you don't know how many of them are left in a goddamn warehouse. Sell through 256% higher. That's amazing. That's amazing. Look, controversy aside, and I haven't played it and I won't play it, but I don't have a problem if you want to play it, but what a hell of a hit for these guys. I tell you what, whether Suicide Squad kills the Justice League and Gotham Knights shits the bed, they're going to be partying at the end of the year, the end of the fiscal year over this thing. This has pretty much saved a lot of people some heartache from those one flop and one soon-to-be flop. I was going to get Hogwarts, but I've only seen 3 Harry Potter, so I'm not familiar with the lore, says Xcater. Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar enough with it, and I hear it's a really good game. But I was in my mid-20s when the first Harry Potter movie came out, and I saw it, and I was like, it's pretty good, and I like Chamber of Secrets. But I think if you weren't a kid or a young teen when this series was in its heyday in prose form, it's fine, but I'm more interested in Jedi younglings than kids going to magic school. But, it is what it is. Jaffe says, Danny Riaz, that's not the marketing. That's the product quality and the IP. No, I know, but this guy, the story is the data. We get the data through a brand manager who was shouting from the rooftops, look what I did. Whether or not he was instrumental or kind of important or not important at all is irrelevant. The important part is, holy shit, this fucking thing did 250% higher than what they thought. Okay. Twisted Sith, thank you, buddy. Been a member for 13 months. I appreciate it. He says, favorite type of popcorn. Mine is buttered toffee crunch and munch. Love eating the peanuts at the bottom. I enjoy that, but my favorite type of popcorn is just movie theater popcorn. No goddamn butter. That's my favorite. Like, to the point that I will send my kids sometimes to the movie theater down the street, and I'm just like, go in, buy me some popcorn, bring it back. And they will. And I love it. Okay. Okay, let's move on. One more Harry Potter thing, though. I got to tell you. Harry Potter Quidditch. You can sign up now for the video game version of Quidditch, which again is like, I'm sure thematically it appeals to a lot of people. I want to say there was kind of a talk that it was supposed to be in Hogwarts Legacy. Maybe they could have done it and they said, let's pull it and make it its own thing. I don't fucking know. But you can sign up for the limited playtest right now. I have signed up. It's fine. If you strip the Quidditch out of it, there have been a handful of games that are sort of like flying basketball before. None of them have been great, but it could work. It could be good. I don't know who's developing it. I'm sure that's easy to find out, but I hadn't thought about it. But if you want to sign up, I'll pop it in the Discord for you. I'm sorry, in the here. It's in the chat. Did anyone see Mr. Jaffe on his Xbox literally all night last long playing Minecraft? My kid, I have an Xbox in the living room, and he signed into it. But if you're saying he was signed into my account playing it, I mean, he could have been, but I don't. Maybe he did. Maybe I haven't. Well, I have Game Pass on, but I don't know. I have no idea. I'll ask him. Flying basketball, says Radical Desi. Was that Roller Champions? You mean from Ubisoft? No, I mean like flying, like verticality, and then you're playing a basketball game. I've played one of those before, but I don't know what it was. I don't remember the name. The last few nights they were playing GTA 5. How do you know this, Spazbo? How do you know what game my kid is playing? Because he's not signed in as me. Yeah, Fupy says, next time Jaffe logs in to his Xbox, send me a private message or call my phone. We have to. I'm more than happy to share what I play. But I, and maybe, I did load up GTA on my Xbox X a couple of days ago because I was trying to get Calvin and me to get connected to see if the internet was working. But maybe when I turned it off, it still says it's playing. Who knows? I don't care. I've been playing a lot of shit on my PS4. Hey, listen to this. I don't think I'm going to find anybody that is not happy about the success of Resident Evil 4 Remake. It is excellent. Everybody knows it's excellent. I've always known it was excellent. I'm playing it now and spending a lot of time on it, and I'm like, wow, it's a good fucking game. The sound and the voice acting, it's good people. But anyway, numbers are out for that game. I want to tell you all about it. First, let's do the hardware just real briefly. Gaming hardware, 10%. This is in America year over year. PS5's increased availability, according to IGN, led the push as the best-selling console in units sold and bucks made. The Xbox S and X came in second in terms of dollars made, while the Switch placed second in terms of units sold. But let's get to the important stuff. Let's get to the video games themselves. The number one game of there you go. Number one game of March, and this is this is good. This is good, and this is good because Resident Evil 4 Remake, I think, came out tail end of March. Like, wasn't it like towards the last week? Even so, it managed to be the number one game of the month, and it's the number 4 game of the year. Hogwarts Legacy drops from 1 to 2. MLB The Show comes in, as it always does, very strong. I played it. I actually liked it this year. I won't play it a lot because I'm not really into baseball games, but I enjoyed it. Maybe I'll do some multiplayer. That's number 3. Call of Duty went from 2 to 4. Modern Warfare. Last of Us Part 1, flying high on the great reviews and great love of the show, is still in the top 10 at number 5. 6 FIFA, 7 WWE 2K23, which is really weird. It's pretty low entry given that WrestleMania was just this last weekend, or 2 weekends ago when it launched. But there you go. Number 7, 8 is, my God, the best game ever made. Elden Ring, still in there. 9 is Madden, and 10 is basically a money printing device, which is also known as Mario Kart. 8 is number 10. So, okay. I talked about this already. Just want to give you a reminder. If you're interested, I will be playing this either tomorrow night if it goes live at 9, or it goes live on the 20th. So if it's live tonight, I'll be playing it. If it's live tomorrow, I'll be playing it. But Crash Team Rumble, if you pre-order it, which I'm going to for $29 or $39, I'm doing the $29. You get access to the closed beta. If you don't know what this is the new, it's Toys for Bob. So honestly, I'm more interested in this because it's Toys for Bob, because I think they're just a crackerjack of a developer. But this is 4v4, kind of, what would you call it? I mean, it's not Power Stone, but it's also not Smash Bros. It kind of seems like it's a little bit more Power Stone than Smash Bros, right? So, and it's also a fantastic developer. So I will be getting this tonight, or I will be playing this tonight in the open beta. I don't know when the final game actually comes out, but if anybody wants to play it and you're a member, hit me up on the Discord, and we can jump into some games together. But yeah, Power Stone, Daniel, was a solid game. Yeah, I loved it. Fucking loved it. But this is happening. Let me just want to let you know that, because it's good people. Okay. Dusty, thank you for the chat. He says, what the hell do you do if you're developing Suicide Squad game now? Well, I'll tell you what you do. So they've delayed the game again, right? Didn't they say it's coming out end of 2023 now? So here's what I think is happening. And I have no data other than just 20 years in game development and dealing with executives and why decisions get made. Here's what I think is happening. I think Warner Brothers knows that, especially after, the sort of shellacking that Gotham Knights took. Oh, wait, it's coming out in February 2024. That's even later. Okay. So the shellacking these guys took, I think they know both from a reputation standpoint and a money standpoint, and they also know that they need to keep these developers happy, especially that they just lost the two leads who founded the company. What are they called? Rocksteady. They're like, okay, they're motivated for this to work. I think everybody knows that when they revealed it, wherever they revealed it last, I think it was one of Keeley's shows maybe, everybody was like, this just looks generic and dumb and stupid. The combat looked good. The navigation looked good. The quality looked good. But I think what they're probably doing now is they're probably putting a lot more effort into the single player aspect of it, because it just kind of looked like a generic looter shooter with a beautiful skin of DC characters. And I know there is a single player, but if you're asking me what I would do and I had that extra time, I would do what I think they're doing, which is going in and adding more bosses, adding more cutscenes, adding more varied missions for the single player to actually be able to put out a game that is not just this generic co-op multiplayer, just almost insulting level of genericism. X-Rated Skater, thank you for the super chat. Kind of related. He says, in the next 8 months isn't enough time to tone down the live service of Suicide Squad or get rid of the online required. I don't think they're going to get rid of the online required. I could be wrong, but maybe they are. I don't fucking know. But part of it is so your friends can drop in and drop out. But if you don't want anything to do with that, maybe that's, I don't know I don't know enough about the tech in general and specifically their infrastructure to tell you how easy that is to turn on and off. When you say tone down the live service aspect of Suicide Squad, I would just say, clearly there's a monetization issue. There's a budget issue that they think they're going to be able to make money from the live service game. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. I think they're going to balance it with content that doesn't make it look like such a fucking money grab. And it may not be a money grab to begin with, but it sure as fuck looked like one when they revealed it a couple of weeks back. Thank you for that super chat, buddy. Okay. I thought it looked good, says Aunt Tony. Rocksteady didn't want to make another melee-focused Arkham-style game. They moved on for a reason. They spent a decade. Yeah, I thought it looked good as well. Like, it was incredibly well made. And out of all games like that, the way the characters moved and their different abilities and the production value, it all looked great. But it looked like something I've played many, many times before. And the only thing it seemed, if you're just going to take it at face value, that it could have offered was sort of to be the best in breed of kind of a genre that people are kind of getting sick of. And so I like that Warner Brothers has said, let's take a little more time on this thing. Listen to this. Speaking of, this is great news, especially for me. This is selfish news, but it's great news for me and probably for a lot of you guys. Hang on. A cab says, but what about some single player like aspects to it, more interactivity? Yeah, I'm saying that's what, if it were me, that's what I would be doing. I would be adding more varied missions because, a lot of these things, it's like, okay, let's have 5 modular mission types and then we'll spruce them up a little bit with a different paint job. But there's always the escort. There's always the kill X people. There's always the racing, this, that, probably they're like, let's get some handcrafted, shit going. I think that's probably what you're going to see. Okay. So listen to this. I'm excited now. So Ghostwire Tokyo, I have not played the latest. I've never played it, actually. I haven't even played the trial. I got other things to play. And I know when it first was announced, it looked pretty cool. And then all the reviews were like, and people I talked to were like, it's cool. Some people really loved it, but most people were sort of like, whatever. Well, I'm just going to read you some direct shit from Games Radar. This is from a fellow who likes to go by Jordan Gerblick, if you can believe that. Listen to some of the changes. Listen to some of the changes that Ghostwire Tokyo has now. Okay, listen to this. Listen to this. It's great that Microsoft or Tango Gameworks or however they got the approval, Bethesda said, take the time, add this shit. Listen to this. Last week, Tango Gameworks Ghostwire Tokyo dropped its most meaningful update since launch. It includes a fully fledged roguelike mode, whatever, new locales and monsters, yay, and by far the scariest quest in the whole game. But the change that's driving my latest playthrough and the reason I can now wholeheartedly recommend this game is the expanded combat system. In our Ghostwire Tokyo review, again, this is Games Radar, we said the game's shallow combat was one of its biggest faults. Even with your skill tree maxed out, fighting hordes of monsters mostly consisted of using 3 elemental blast type powers to wear the monsters down, then ripping away their cores to finish them off. It was a third-person shooter with only one gun and red, blue, and green bullets. The different elements have always had their own advantages, be it water's ability to control mobs or fire. Some abilities add variety, but the combat felt rudimentary. Towards the end of my first playthrough, I was doing my very best to avoid combat and feeling frustrated whenever I became cornered into a fight, which happened often. Okay, well, yeah, that's what I heard. A lot of people saying that, and that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested. But here's what they added to the combat. Forget the new levels, forget the new locations, forget the new monsters, forget the rogue mode. Listen to this. Blackjack says, who asked for this? Who gives a shit? Think about that. How wonderful is it to have a developer who has been given the opportunity to make the game the dream game instead of what they had to put out for whatever reason they had to put it out. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that this kind of shit's happening. But let me tell you, Blackjack, maybe this will make you a believer. Listen to this. There's now a quick dodge button that lets you dip and duck away from incoming projectiles less clumsily. Pair that with the new counterattack you get when you execute a perfect block, and suddenly killing mobs of enemies isn't your only option. These new features are especially useful against spirits like the Kuchisake, who lunge at you with startling speed and range. Beware, though, as certain enemies have been given their own guard break abilities, meaning they've even changed some of the enemy AI design, their own guard break abilities that can make you unable to defend yourself. There's also a new aerial purge option to help you deal with flying phantoms, another frequent source of frustration I remember from the first playthrough. Now you can sneak up behind the suckers and quick purge them before they even think about hurling a garbage can your way. There's a new ground pound attack. In the time I played the new update, this has helped massively with clearing out mobs. The most substantial bit of Ghostwire's combat is the new suite of elemental abilities, collectively called Guard Rush. The wind attack can now be charged and used like a machine gun with rapid fire shots, and the water attack can now freeze enemy in place just long enough for you to melt them with your new flamethrower. These are all best suited for close range, but boy, do they make a difference when your pointer finger's tired of spamming the triggers every damn battle. Finally, as I touched on earlier, these are far from the only upgrades available in the new upgrade version of Ghostwire. My favorite element aside from the combat is a side quest that takes you through a haunted school. It's easily the scariest quest in the game, with a jump scare rivaled only by the Big Baby in Resident Evil Village. Oh, and if you think something's following you, I regret to say you're not imagining things. Last thing he says, I'll say one thing. I'm seriously jealous of anyone getting to experience Ghostwire Tokyo for the first time after this latest update, whether that's on PS5 or on Xbox or PC Game Pass. As much as I love the fun but flawed tour through Japanese folklore at launch, it makes a much, much better impression today than it did over a year ago. So, hey, I'm excited because I've never fucking played this thing goddamn cockadoodie ever. And now, sweet. You know, I'm down. I'm totally fucking down for it. So I don't know if you guys have played the new version. I think I saw somebody in the chat saying that be wary because the Xbox version has a bunch of problems. Is that correct? But so I'll probably play it on PS5. Okay, so Water Princess says I just played it on Game Pass and it was good. Okay, cool. I even tried Ghostwire Tokyo, says Sebastian, on Series S. It rang like butter. Cool. Jaffe, I have played the school mission, says Dylan, and it is awesome. There's more than one part to it as well. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. PC port is good, says Sagbag. Great. So I'm looking forward to this. Although Alex says don't waste your time. Even with all these changes that Games Radar is listing, you're saying don't play it? Bacon says don't play the Xbox version. Okay. All I know is it was free. Yeah, I'm very curious why you're saying don't waste my time. I tried it for an hour before the update, says Fupy. Not my thing. If it's still the same game, it should have been great at launch. Well, it should have been, but it wasn't. I mean, you know, the fact of the matter is that You know, we get what we pay for. People, whether it's No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk or this, you know, consumers have told companies, we're okay with this. We're okay if you do this. And you release games and then you come back and make them better. You know, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They're basically saying, we're okay with it. And they're making money, so why the fuck not? Listen to this. We're going to talk about completing games now. Yeah, my backlog stack is huge as well. I was not enjoying it one bit, says Alex. I wish they patched it better on Xbox. Okay, are you saying it was because it was buggy on Xbox, or you didn't like it even with the upgrades? I heard someone in another chat say, why not give a third-person option? And I said it would just be Yakuza with magic. Yeah, but that's pretty cool. Okay. Listen to this. It's hard to find this data. A lot of people do sort of their own little detective work, going to trophy sites and whatnot. But the last sort of comprehensive article was from 2012, where Digital Trends, I'll show you from the thread on NeoGAF, Digital Trends utilized a variety of tools to look at completion rates for video games. And, you know, not surprisingly, they were all, you know, pretty low. And this article or this post on NeoGAF is all about, hey, is this a problem? Well, at a creative level, I think it's a problem. But clearly the business isn't suffering because of it, but it is interesting. But it did get me thinking, what games do I complete? I am known by a lot of people. People make fun of me a lot and shit like that because they're like, Jaffe never finishes games. I do finish games, but not a lot. Not a lot. But the Resident Evil games, well, Ace Combat's not on top. Ace Combat just comes first alphabetically. So Sagbag's like, oh shit, Ace Combat's on top. Well, no. Yeah, Ace Combat, yeah, Makio's saying the same thing. It's not that. These are not the most finished games. These are alphabetical order. You guys would, your minds would explode if you encountered the Dewey Decimal System. But anyway, but the Resident Evil games, I do finish. Right? I mean, I finished some games, but I finished RE2 Remake, RE3 Remake, RE7, RE Village, and I'm about to finish, or I'm going to finish, RE4 Remake, right? And then you do a little research. Resident Evil Village completion rate is a 73. Resident Evil Village was 2021's most completed game. Resident Evil 3 has a completion rate of 70%. There's something about this series that makes people finish it, including me, notoriously, you know, a non-game finisher. And so, I mean, again, I don't think it necessarily translates. I don't think you're going to look at Ubisoft going, oh, you know, money doesn't seem to correlate with completion time. Right? It can, but you know, you can look at a bunch of the games in this list, even going back to 2012, and some of these are incredibly great selling games that do, and beloved games that have a very low completion rate. So I don't think Ubisoft's going to go, hey, let's make Valhalla, let's put it at the top of the list. We want people to finish it. But as a gamer, I really fucking appreciate it. And I think when I was thinking about it, see, Mecha says, I think Mecha, you're right and you're wrong. Mecha in the chat says they're good, meaning the RE games, and they're not overly long. They're good, I agree with, but I think they're good already covers it not being overly long. I mean, I think games that you don't finish because other things grab your attention. And a lot of games are not paced very well. I mean, no offense to my wonderful colleagues and some friends over at Santa Monica, the pacing was the biggest weakness of Ragnarok. Like, why in the world they didn't catch that, unless marketing pulled them aside and maybe Eric Williams was going, dude, I'm with you, Jaffe. I'm fucking with you, Jaffe, but marketing is like, look, you guys are spending $220 million. You cannot have this thing get sold back, or you cannot have people saying it's too short. So if you've got to pad this out to justify the $70 price point, then I think that's what we need to do. And so I understand, but I will tell you that Resident Evil, for better for me, doesn't seem to do that. Every level in these remakes and 7 and Village is compelling. It's fucking compelling. It's just like, oh, I'm on to this next thing. Ooh, that's cool. Oh, that's interesting. There's not a lot of fucking fat on the bone of those games. And again, it doesn't necessarily translate en masse to the industry and to sales, but for Capcom, it seems to be working. 1 second. Yeah, baby.
Can you order?
Oh, yes. After I finish, very soon. Yes. All right, Bubba. Mr. K says, games are too long, man. RE Remake was just perfect. Maybe a bit too long, but that's because I'm slow. Mecha says, do you think with the rise of digital sales, publishers will stop being worried about people selling their games back? Sure. I think so. I mean, you know, I think people should be able to trade and sell digital games, but that's never going to happen. But I would agree with you that, I mean, you're already... See, the problem is the Steam refund window right now is that, you know, games should be able to be 2 or 3 hours, but with Steam, which is where most of those games sell, you know, you can get your money back. So what was the game that just came out recently? Storyteller, which I loved, but you could finish it in 2 hours and a lot of people sold it back. Sebastian says, I'm on chapter 10 of Resident Evil 4 remake and I added up the hours and it says I've been playing only for 22 hours. I don't know how it calculates that. I'm not sure. Don't forget RE games have great replayability when you unlock awesome weapons to redo the game, says Spaz. Sure. But that's not even unless you're saying that's part of the motivation to finish. Sure. If a game is good, I don't mind if it takes long, says Red Dead Redemption. I guess that's the thing. To me, when you define something as good, part of that definition includes, does it maintain and hold your interest? And so I was surprised and happy to see that, you know, Resident Evil, one of my favorite franchises of all time, literally seems to have the highest completion rate for these kind of games in the business. Somebody in the chat was trying to take the piss, say Jaffe says his favorite game of all time is Elden Ring. He hasn't finished it. No, but I continue to go back to it. I'm almost done with it, but it's a massive game. And what does it even mean to finish it? I could have finished it. I could have gone online and been told where all the what are they called? The tiers that you can respec with and where all this is and how to beat this boss. And I could have taken a through line and got through it in, X number of hours. But I didn't, because I love being in that world. And in that, it's kind of, and even when I finish it, there's a whole list of fucking shit that I haven't even discovered. I bought the book, the big fucking beautiful meaty atlas of Elden Ring. And there's so many things I didn't do that I probably will replay it one day. Maybe. I want to replay Bloodborne too. Hello, Dexter. Tim Duncan says, Jesus, Jaffe sure loves to ask questions when he's wrong about something. You can't drop that without a specifics. The chat's going furious and fast, which I appreciate, everybody. But Tim Duncan says, Jaffe loves to ask questions when he's wrong about something. I'm not going to roll back up in the chat to find out what you're talking about. So if you want me to address that comment, which seems potentially interesting to the audience, I will, but you got to be a little bit more specific, baby. Embedded in the question. Okay. So I want to remind you that a couple of things are happening. There's an after show today. And in the after show, which is members only, it'll be over on the Discord Diet Soda Room. Here's what we're going to be looking at. Every after show, every Gabbin Games from now on, except the Gabbin Games Gold, will have an after show. Sometimes it'll be continued discussion. Sometimes it'll be new topics. Today, we're going to watch some things because there's a lot of stuff I want to catch up on and talk about with you guys. So we will be watching the new trailer for RE Death Island, which I'm excited for. We'll be watching the latest Tears of the Kingdom trailer, which I haven't seen yet. We'll be watching Immortals of Avium, which apparently is really cool. It's like a magic shooter coming from EA. But most importantly, we will be watching the 20-minute Nintendo Indie Showcase that aired this morning. Okay. Hello, Brian King. Good to see you, buddy. Okay, so this is going to be over in the Diet Soda Soldier Room. If you're interested in that nonsense, it'll be happening about 10 minutes after I kill this stream on the YouTube. And if you don't get a chance to watch it, if you're a member, it'll be up for members later tonight. Crash Team Rumble, I'll be playing that with members. The open beta starts tonight or tomorrow morning. I'll give you more details when I know when it starts. Calypso live stream for Cult Calypso members and above only. Tomorrow in the Discord, we'll be watching the Diablo 4 developer conference where they're talking about the end game, and Street Fighter 6 has a new content drop, which is the last video they're releasing in terms of behind the scenes and what they're talking about before the game goes live in the summer. Saturday is Pot and Popcorn at 3 o'clock, members only. Right now, let me show you who's ahead. We're showing 2 motion picture shows. The first one we're trying to decide is between the new Power Rangers movie, Brain Damage, Cocaine Bear, and Grandma's Boy. It looks like Cocaine Bear is winning in a landslide. That will be coming up this Saturday. And then the other thing, just real quick to let you know, 12:30, remember, Call of Duty is free. Alexa, stop. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, not DMZ, not Warzone. The actual Call of Duty, a bunch of their new levels, a bunch of their Season 3 content is free for everyone until Sunday. Sunday at 12:30, we will be doing Gabbin and Games members Call of Duty Game Day. So if you want to play with us Sunday afternoon, get on in there and play. And then next week, of course, we're having the director of the Resident Evil documentary about Capcom sanctioned documentary about George Romero, who wrote the script, which you can find online. It's right here. It's really good. He got fired from the movie. And we're going to talk about it. He made a whole documentary on it. It's coming out relatively soon. Okay. So, but that's what's happening. If you want to join, check the links below in the Discord or in the link tree. The Gabbin Games membership tiers, see if it interests you. If not, not a problem. We'll be back with the proper Gabbin Games on Friday at some time. In the meantime, this has been Gabbin Games. Thank you, mods. Thank you, all the super chats. I very, very much appreciate it. And we will be now in 5-10 minutes. If you want to join the Discord, the link is right underneath this in the video, like in the About section. Go on over there, join. If you don't have to pay for that, but if you want to be a member, sign up. In 10 minutes, meet me in the Diet Soda Soldier Room, and we will start watching and talking about the nonsense that is these trailers and the Nintendo Indie Show. Meantime, be well, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I will see you guys really, really soon.